and gentlemen, welcome back to another late night stream. Welcome to our traditional, our annual, our regularly scheduled transfer deadline stream where I'll sit live with you for an hour or so, we'll see what happens, and talk about everything that's going on deadline day. We'll have a roundup of the transfer window this summer. And we'll have a little bit of chat about the season ahead. Obviously, I think we're all pretty much... Listen, I think we could all be realistic here. I'm sitting down and saying we're expecting a quiet couple of hours. Hence the reason I'm only going to be live till probably 11 o'clock tonight. I'm not going to go the whole way till the deadline at 12. We'll know by 11 if there's anything happening. If anything major develops, then yeah, we might stay on a little bit later till closer to the deadline. But I really am not expecting too much from what's out there, from what I know myself. Don't think anything is going to happen on top of the business that's already been done today. I know that's disappointing for many, disappointing for myself. But listen, it's been a busy transfer window for Celtic. We've completed 9 signings over the course of the summer. There's obviously just a couple of areas which I think that all of us as Celtic fans would be pretty inclined to agree that we would have liked to have seen improvement in, that we would have liked to have seen players come in and cover those areas. The goalkeeping position being one of them, the left-back position being another. But I would be very surprised if anything changes massively over the next couple of hours. There are a couple of names coming up. I can see one name that's flying around the chat in relation to goalkeepers. We're going to talk about that over the next hour. But once again, I'll reiterate, I'm not expecting much to happen between now and the deadline unless we get something right out the blue. I've got all my tabs beside me. I will be keeping you up to date as everything comes through. We'll have a bit of a discussion, but it's good to see you anyway. Over 500 people already in the chat, which is fantastic. Thank you to Ben, who's kicked off a donation tonight with thoughts on a Yeti going. Is he as bad as made out? Yes, he is. Yes, thank you for the donation, but yes, simply yes, he is. But we're going to get you guys involved throughout the hour, don't worry, so your questions and such will come up as we go on. But I'm going to start off the stream with talking about the couple of things that have been made official tonight, because there's been some big news in regards to signing, of course, one that we knew about, we spoke about in the earlier video, and there was also some big news that came along this evening that we didn't necessarily expect today. I thought it was going to happen maybe in some point in between the league fixtures and the international break. But yeah, Palma kangaroo kicks Cantwell and Raskin. Do you know what? Make it happen somehow. Thank you for the donation, Ranny's Rovers. Right, let's get through these stories so I can just get talking to you guys and get all your points up on the screen. So stick with me. If you haven't already, make sure to hit like and subscribe. As I said, we're going to be here till 11 o'clock. So strap yourselves in for the hour. If you're having a quiet Friday night like me, I don't know about you, but I've been quite quiet recently when it comes to the old drinking. I've not been out as much as I'd like to. I've been getting used to these Fridays and Saturdays in, which has been a welcomed change, to say the least. I watched Luton and West Ham tonight, but thank you to Chris, by the way. So saying, how was dinner tonight? It was okay. It wasn't the greatest. I think I had chicken breast things with chips and rice, and yeah, the chips and rice. It wasn't fantastic, but it's done the job. Right, let's get into these stories and not waste too much more time so we can review the transfer window and talk to you guys. The first thing is that Paulo Bernardo has been confirmed as a Celtic player, and the big news alongside that being that there is an option to buy in that transfer. I've seen a few numbers sort of thrown around in regards to what that might be. I think I've seen one saying 6.8 million. I've seen another couple thrown out there. I need to actually do my reading and make sure what the right number is. I don't even know if it's definitely out there yet. Some of you guys might know, I don't know, as of yet. But Paulo Bernardo has joined, nonetheless. He is signed. He's the latest addition to Brendan Rodgers' Celtic squad, with the Portuguese midfielder having joined from Benfica on a season-long loan, with the option to buy. The move is subject to international clearance, and it goes on to talk about the player himself, obviously coming through the Benfica academy. He's very happy to be here. The standard comments: it's a great club, I'm ready to be on the pitch and help the team. Brendan Rodgers, we heard speak about him earlier on today as well. He spoke about him in the press conference, basically confirming that he was a Celtic player. I mean, this took a while to actually come out. It was published at 8:55 tonight, which a lot of people have have speculated might be because they've left room for another announcement rather than letting this run up to the final hours. I think that's reading into it far too much. I don't think that has any bearing on it. They'll probably finishing things up. Am I going to do the quiz? Asked Murray. Who knows? Maybe later on for some entertainment we might do the quiz. But yes, Paulo Bernardo's here. The rumoured number that I've seen so far is 6.8 million in regards to the option to buy. So it's going to be a very fun season watching him. Let's see if we fall in love with him the same way that we fell in love with Jota a couple of years ago. Will he make it a no-brainer to trigger this option to buy? That's up to him. And I think he's going to get a lot of minutes. I don't think this is a guy who's going to come in to be used sparingly. I really don't. I think this is someone who's probably coming in to get a lot of time and a lot of chances, and now it's up to him to take them. So I'm very excited. So that was good. I like to see the fact that Paulo Bernardo is now officially a Celtic player. And we also got some other big news, which we'll throw up on screen now, which is very welcome news, and news I don't think any of us would have expected back in when let's say even January, as far back as that, but at the end of last season. Did we expect to see this? Ladies and gents, Liel Abada has signed a contract extension with Celtic, signing a new 4-year deal. We heard all the talk that he was eyeing up moves, that he was considering his options. Ajax, for example, were interested. I think a lot of us back in May time, at the end of the season, May, early June, had him out the door. We had him out as a someone who wouldn't be with us this season. He would leave alongside Ange Postecoglou, but no, instead Liel Abada has signed a new 4-year deal with the club, which will see him remain with us until the summer of 2027. Now, of course, we've touched on this many a times, and specifically in relation to him and Rio Hatate. They're not going to be here till Abada is not going to be here till 2027. Absolutely not. But what this does now is put Celtic in a position of power when it comes to selling Liel Abada. Whenever that day comes, it might be in a year's time, it might be in 2 years' time, but there is still time on his contract. A lot of time, which puts us in a commanding position to try and negotiate transfer fees. We could probably extract the most out of him as we want as a club, as long as he keeps performing. I would be stunned if we have more than 2 years out of Abada left at Celtic, but it's still a very young age. He's got a lot of development to go through. And it's just very good news. You know, it's nice to see that, because I think a lot of people, especially with Abada, really questioned his attitude and his desire to be here late last season. I think a lot of people thought that he was just done with the club in every way. And this shows a real sort of commitment. This shows that he is committed to Celtic and wants to be here. And I think that Brendan Rodgers will get the absolute best out of him. There you go. Liel Abada, he's signed a contract. He has obviously spoke as well. You can go and watch the interview on Celtic TV if you want to and see what he's saying. But there he is with the shirt and everything else. It's a pretty long article actually, so I'm not going to give you the hassle of actually reading through this. But 21 years of age, now here for another 4 years. We're getting a lot of the development out of him now, hopefully over the next couple, and then we'll see what happens after that. So there you go. Liel Abada has signed his new Celtic deal, and that is the two big stories that have come out of Celtic Park so far this evening. We've heard nothing else. People asking the questions about goalkeepers, asking the questions about Kasper Schmeichel, asking about left backs. Don't worry, we're going to talk all about it. So very quickly, let's have a little chat about Kasper Schmeichel, because I know a lot of people have got his name in their mouth, and you know, rightly so, because it's became official tonight. And as if I throw it on screen, and don't worry, I'm all going to come to all you guys and we're going to just chat away, do question, Q&A style content. But I'll put this up here. Anthony Joseph tweeted this earlier on, that Nice have terminated Kasper Schmeichel's contract by mutual consent. The former Leicester City player is a free agent. And if you go through the replies, it's just Celtic fan after Celtic fan after Celtic fan, really trying to get the message across that we should go in for Kasper Schmeichel. Now, get your opinions in the chat if you want, and I'll try and pull some up on screen. But of course, Celtic fans have been desperate for a goalkeeper this summer. The only thing is with this now, is probably not going to happen because we have 3 goalkeepers. I think that the story all along, all summer, was that Brendan Rodgers would go for a goalkeeper, or Celtic would go for a keeper, if any of them left. None of them have left. And I think it's too late now to say that Siegrist or Joe Hart is going to leave the club. We know it's not going to be Bain. I think it's too late to say any of the two of them are going to leave the club. I don't see it. The only one realistically who would go is probably Benjamin Siegrist. And there's nothing to suggest that that's actually going to happen. So I think that we can all, there seems to be quite a split opinion on Kasper Schmeichel. We're going to talk about him in a moment. But I think that everybody who does really want Kasper Schmeichel and they're really shouting for it, got to put the realistic hat on for a moment. Not going to happen unless there is a last minute move in the works for Benjamin Siegrist. Because I'm not going to leave him unregistered and not playing. But, Kasper Schmeichel is someone who, 5 years ago, I would have loved to have seen at Celtic. I'm going to pull up the article that the Record actually have put out tonight as well. The Record have linked him with Celtic, but there is really nothing in it to suggest that it is actually going to happen. It's not like this is Celtic have inquired or anything like that. If you've read this article, get it drilled into you right now. It's nothing concrete, serious, even remotely rumoured that Schmeichel spoke to Celtic or Celtic are interested. It's journalism putting two and two together, putting Kasper Schmeichel, a former Brendan Rodgers captain, in the mix with Celtic, who have been looking for a goalkeeper this summer window. So there is nothing actually in this article to say that Celtic are actually going to go in for Kasper Schmeichel, but it's there. He's gone from Nice. I want to get some of your opinions on Kasper Schmeichel. I'll get mine out the way very, very quickly. I don't think it's going to happen. I think there's a very small 1% chance that it would happen. And I'm not necessarily bothered if it does happen or not. I think do you know what? If you go back on this channel years and years ago, I've always been a massive fan of Kasper Schmeichel, not just because his dad's Peter, but because I think that he's one of the best Premier League keepers that I've seen in the last decade. I think he's fantastic. I thought at Leicester City he was really, really good for years. I thought he was underrated. And I thought that especially after he won the league title, he would have maybe got a big move to a Man United or something like that. It never surfaced, never happened. Stayed with Leicester, became club captain, won the FA Cup with Brendan Rodgers. And now he's 36 years of age. Which, if, this is where you've got to start weighing up the question of Kasper Schmeichel, rationally. Are people just saying yes to him because it's not Joe Hart? Do I think he'd be an improvement on Joe Hart? Yeah, probably. By much? No, I don't think so. Not worth the year contract for no reason. Because we signed Schmeichel and we're going to be in the exact same position next year. He's 36. He's actually older than Joe Hart. He's a year older than Joe Hart. You go and sign Kasper Schmeichel right now. In a year's time, you've got two goalkeepers who are 35, 36 years of age, and you're in the same position anyway. And do I think that he's really going to be much better than Hart? No. I think that you maybe eliminate the bomb scare moments that's in Joe Hart's game. But in terms of shot stopping and all that, Schmeichel's fell down the pecking order at Nice for a reason. It's not just his age, it's because he's not the same as he used to be. So I think that there is this real, people are just saying yes and let's do it because it's not Joe Hart and because it's a goalkeeper that's available. I would much rather wait until January and assess options then, rather than just rash on deadline day with 2 hours to go, jump in and say, you know what, let's bring in Kasper Schmeichel. I wouldn't knock it back either. If he came in, I'd be like, well, do you come on, show us what you can do, Kasper, because we know he can be a great keeper. But at 36 years of age, who's probably going to be someone who's demanding quite a large fee on a wage. I know we'd get him for nothing, transfer fee-wise, but for quite a large wage at 36 years of age, most likely on a 1 year, max 2 year contract, I really, really don't see why. I don't think he's the answer to replace Joe Hart. And that would be my kind of overwhelming opinion to it all. But listen, if you may as well give him a bell. I'm not saying that's out the question. Stuart's donated 5, thank you, saying great news about Abada, but realistically, who of the new signings do you expect to feature on Sunday? We will talk about that later on in the stream, Stuart, my man. But thank you for the £5. Great news about Abada. And listen, I've got a good feeling about the new signings for Sunday, but we'll talk about it. And thank you to Mark as well, who's to €82.50. So I'm going to jump through a few of the opinions on Kasper Schmeichel. Thank you, by the way. We're over 1,000 live viewers at the minute, which is tremendous. Thank you. I'm going to get some opinions on Schmeichel. We've got Phil, who says Schmeichel would be a great signing, better than nothing, is it not? I suppose if you look at it like that, yeah, it is better than nothing. But I just think that you've got Joe Hart's not nothing. You know, Joe Hart, yeah, those errors in his game have become abundantly clear. I just don't know if I would be, if Kasper, you know, if you go back 2 weeks, I wouldn't have been like, go and get Kasper Schmeichel. And even if he was an option 2 weeks ago, I don't think I would have still looked at Kasper Schmeichel as an option. I think now that it's 10 o'clock on deadline day, people are like, oh, aye, go and get him. When realistically, I really don't think he's going to add that much more. Schmeichel is a mistake. He's past his prime and must be in some state to have his contract terminated. He's not the answer. Spot on, and Kasper. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for the agreement. Kasper and Rodgers fell out at Leicester. Actually, I think they did, didn't they? Because he left to go to Nice while Rodgers was still in charge, and I'm sure there was a bit of fallout about that. I'm sure there was a little bit of something. Cal, who's always here, nice to see you, Cal. He says we need someone younger, between 28 and 30. I agree. I think that we've been in a position now where, like, all of our, you know, who was the last keeper who was like a decent age, like first team keeper? But it's been Hart for the last 2 years, right? It's been Joe Hart, who's 35 years of age, came in at 33. Before him, it was Fraser Forster on loan for a year, who was in his early 30s. Before him, it was Craig Gordon, who we took a massive gamble on by bringing him back out from the cold in his career in his early 30s as well. And I think, you know, you go back, I think really the last proper number one that we had that wasn't an old man was Artur Boric. And, you know, like, goalkeepers get better with age. Absolutely. I think that some of the best goalkeepers in the world are you know, that little bit older. It's hard to come by good young keepers as well, don't get me wrong. You know, it's really hard to find a good keeper. But I just think that I would like to see a change in how we go about recruiting our keepers rather than just going for ones who are at the end of their career. That being said, it's a lot easier said than done. Gary said he wouldn't take him, in all honesty. God, a lot of comments are flying through, by the way. A lot of keepers are flying through. Oh yeah, Forster in his first stint. Thank you. I forgot that Forster was actually here for a bit before the loan. Yeah, so Forster was the last time that we had like a young keeper. And like, I forgot what it feels like to have a young keeper, to be honest. But yeah, I'll get a couple more opinions on Kasper Schmeichel for now. And then we're going to do a total review of the transfer window because we're about 20 minutes in. And yeah, so I would like to get a couple more opinions. Let's see. Would you like to see a younger keeper? Yeah, the first things first. We need a keeper who's good with the ball at their feet. This isn't. I think a lot of people, not a lot, I think there's still some people who are like, as long as he saves shots, that's it. And I still very much resonate with that. Like, I'm like, as long as my goalkeeper saves the shots, I'm fine with that. But you notice the difference in all world football now. As soon as a goalkeeper comes in, it's good with the ball at their feet. It makes a world of difference. Like, it does. It's not like, it's not myth. It's fact. Let's see, any more? Get a couple more. Let's see. Barkey was young. Yeah, true. Are we just forgetting that Barkas existed? I thought that's what I was doing. I thought we were all doing that, Cal. Thanks. Let's just pretend. We'll come back to it. We'll keep an eye on Twitter to see if anything develops from the Kasper Schmeichel stuff. Once again, may I reiterate, I really, really don't think that anything's going to happen with it. I think that it's just, as I said, journalists putting two and two together. Brendan Rodgers, Kasper Schmeichel, goalkeeper without a club, Celtic needing a goalkeeper, yada yada. We're not sure yet, Adam. I think we're going to try and book a couple, but we don't know what ones. We're waiting to see the fixtures. We need them first. Right, so before we got into the Q&A, let's do the total review of the transfer window. Let's have a look, because I feel like that is quite an important part of these streams, and it's what everybody's really talking about, aren't they? So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you maybe get a better picture of what's happened. Celtic have spent roughly, I think we're talking, if they added, yeah, they have added Paulo Bernardo. I think we've roughly spent £30 million. You can also look at this on Transfermarkt as well. So if I go into Transfermarkt, but they do their stuff in euros. So if I jump over to Celtic's club profile on Transfermarkt and zoom out, go away, Mikel. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you, Mikel. If I jump into Transfermarkt and I go to transfers and go to current season's transfers, there you go. In euros, this is what we're looking at. We have made it roughly, and if you convert this to pounds, I hate the adverts on this website, honestly. I've got ad block and everything. It's still ad central. You can go on here, and it's a fantastic oversight of what we've done. And it gives you all the numbers as well, even for those undisclosed transfers. Like, Jota's was an undisclosed fee. Like, that was the papers that gave us. I wasn't writing someone out there. But, yeah, 35 million euros, which is roughly around £30 million on 10 players. I think it's only 9. Why is it saying 10? I thought it was 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I think... Is it counting? I don't know. I don't care. We've spent 30 million quid. We've made 30 million quid, and we've spent roughly 19. So, let the complaints begin. Go on, vent, because I know that people are disappointed with the total money that has been spent in this window, because when Brendan Rodgers first came back to the club, people were very, very adamant that there was going to be this 30-40 million pound war chest that was going to be up for grabs for Brendan Rodgers to spend. The rumours going around Kerrydale Street and Twitter and the forums and everything else, everybody was saying that apparently Brendan Rodgers was going to get 40 million pounds to spend. And people took that as gospel, and people took that as fact. Yes, we all spoke about it. We all spoke about it being a possibility. There was nothing ever in paper and seriousness that would suggest that Celtic were actually going to spend £40 million this transfer window. So now it's left a lot of Celtic fans disappointed that we've only spent 20. We've spent 20 million. But listen, I seen a fantastic tweet earlier, and I think I liked it, and I'm going to bring it up right now. Listen, you can rate your transfer window out of 10 in the chat and get your opinions in, and I'll pull up as many as I can. But I want to go and find this tweet that I found, that I seen earlier on. And, you know, people were talking about how we've not replaced people and how we've not improved the squad and blah, blah, blah. When, realistically, we've done pretty well at replacing the players that we have lost. Now, I think people are still really disappointed that we haven't got that marquee 10 million quid signing, and we haven't spent big on someone, and we haven't got a big name. I can't be bothered going back into the same argument and discussion of the side of the fence that I'm on. If you go back to the podcast a couple of weeks ago, I thought Kieran Old done a fantastic job at putting it into layman's terms and putting it simply and saying, we're never going to sign the superstar that fans think we're going to sign. And realistically, people keep going on about project signings, but basically everything you're going to get at Celtic is going to be a project signing. And it doesn't make a difference if they cost 3.5 million or 10 million, because half the players that come, not even half, 90%, 95% of the players that come to Celtic Football Club, they're players that we've never heard of or never seen play. Doesn't matter if they played the Bundesliga, if they played in Serie A, if they played in Israel, Cyprus, Russia, doesn't matter. We've probably not seen them play. In our eyes, basically every player is a project. So I, for one, I'm reasonably happy with the transfer window in general. I think if you told me at the start of the window that we went and signed 9 players, I'd be happy with that. And, you know, a lot of people are arguing that we're, you know, much weaker than we were last year. We've lost one key player, and it's Jota. And we've not even seen his replacement play yet. So this was the tweet that I seen earlier, and I want to use it. So credit to the guy that posted it. Who knows? Maybe he's watching. I doubt it. Nobody on Twitter likes me. No, I'm joking. Let's see. Let me get it up. Where is it? This was the tweet that I seen earlier, and I thought it was fantastically put. So shout out to Belf Colm 74. Starfelt left the club. Lager, Belka, Navrocki, and Phillips have came in. We've brought in 3 for 1. Aaron Moy retired. We've brought in Thiago home and Bernardo. Aaron Moy was 33 and retired. He wanted to retire. He was done. So it's not like we had a choice in the matter. And we've signed 2 centre mids. We've brought in Moy and we've brought in Bernardo. Jota is left, and that is the big one. That's the huge one. It's always going to be tough to replace Jota, right? But when Jota came into the club, we knew bugger all about him. And there was nothing to say on paper that Jota was going to be this 30 million superstar by the time that he left Celtic. Just like we don't know if Yang, Tilly or Palma could be the next 30 million superstar that's going to leave Celtic. So I think that when you look at it on paper, you might argue that the window's underwhelming. You can say it's underwhelming. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Maybe I thought another 10 million would have been spent and we would have found a wee bit more money on a player. But to argue that the side is dramatically weaker or anything like that, I think it's pointless. Because I think the proof is in the pudding that it's not. Because we've lost 3 key players and we've replaced all 3. It's just about waiting to see if Jota is the one that we can replace. That's the toughest part. But there, and then the contracts part as well. We've extended for Abada, Kyogo, Maida, McGregor. 4 of our key players. They've got contract extensions, which is fantastic business from the club to tie them down on longer deals, especially Abada, being at 21 years of age. Fantastic. So I'm look, listen, if I was to rate the transfer window out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7. I think I'd go for 7, because the only thing that I'm really disappointed with is we haven't signed a left back and a keeper. Aside from that, listen, I'm telling you right now, if we signed a quality left back, or someone who looks to be a quality left back and a keeper, I'd have given this window a 10. I've knocked myself off. That sounds wrong. That sounds dirty. I knocked myself away there. Sorry, I'm back, lads. But listen, if we signed a left back and a keeper, I would have been excruciatingly happy with this window. So yeah, I thought that was a good tweet anyway. But let's once again, let's open up the overall transfer business, and then I'm just going to go into a Q&A until some news or such comes through or anything breaks. So let me open that back up on screen right now. There we go. So our most expensive signing of the window was Mike Nawrowski. God, I'm tired, you can tell. He came in for £5 million. Hold on. Right. Mike Nawrowski came in for 5 million. Louis Palma came in for 4.75 million. This is in euros, by the way. Sorry, I don't think there's any way to change it to pounds on this. We can look at it on Wikipedia, to be honest, which would probably do what we'll go and look at it on Wikipedia, just because I don't want people complaining about euros. Let me get this up here. So here we go. Samoki Awata obviously was the first signing who came in on a obligation to buy, so he was already here technically. Odin Thiago home, 2.5 million. Marco Tilio, 1.5 million. Yang, 2.1 million. Kwon was 1 million. Mike Nawrowski, was 4.3 million. Gustav Lagerbielke 3, Louis Palma, 3.5, and then of course the loan deals for Nat Phillips and Paulo Bernardo on the way out. God, there is a lot of guys who have left the club. So yeah, a few people who are just away now. Carl Starfelt, Jota, and Connor Hazard being the 3 who brought in some cash, who are away. Obviously later on in the window we've seen the Ismail Soro leave as well, or Agide who left to go to Amiens in France, and Yon Otu who left to go to Dunfermline. A lot of loan deals for the younger guys, Liam Shaw for example, Bosun Lawal loaned out. In terms of the way out, the one that we didn't really expect in this window obviously was Jota. We didn't expect him to leave. Certainly not for a fee of £25 million to Saudi Arabia. That really took us by storm. And I feel like that's caused a lot of collateral damage in terms of what we think of the transfer window. Because he was such a big player. But like, this is the funny thing. This is what I really can't wait to see what people say of this transfer window in a year's time. I think that's when we'll be able to look back on this window and like give it a proper rating. And I know that's how really every transfer window works. Because look at like 2020, we were all like, "Oh, what a window! Class, Charlie Nicholas." I just sit back and think, "What a window!" And it was rotten. We played the season and it was terrible. Turnbull was like the only good signing. Laxalt was rotten. Duffy was rotten. Ayeti was rotten. Barkas was rotten. We looked back at it and we laughed. So who knows in a year's time though? I mean, if Luis Palma can get even close to the levels that Jota was performing at for Celtic, I think we're laughing, man. I think people are getting overly negative about this window. I don't think it's any window to be delighted about and be like, "Oh yes, fantastic." But I don't see why some folk are being so negative about it. Thank you, Paul, by the way, for £2. So if we scroll back up to the incomings, because that's the most important part. Yeah, a lot of young guys. As you know, I think the average age of signings this summer has been 23. I think that's what it is. I don't know if it's went up a little bit with Nat Phillips coming in because he's 26. But obviously Thiago Holm is what, 20, 21. Telio, once again, young. Yang, young. Kwon, young. Navrocki, I think he's what, 23, something like that. Gustav Lagerbielke is young. Palma. Phillips being the oldest out of the bunch. So listen, 10 signings, and they're in areas where we knew we needed improvement. So we brought in our wingers. Yang looks a talented boy. We've obviously not seen Marco Telly yet. Odin Thiago Holm looks like he's going to be one for the future. I really like the look of him. We've signed 3 centre halves. And now we've reinforced the centre mid as well with Paulo Bernardo. So yeah, as I said, for me, if I was to rate the window, I'd be giving it a 7 out of 10. We're obviously looking forward, and we're shopping in the markets we're allowed to shop in, and I think that's just one of the things that people really just can't wrap their head around. Is like we're restricted to what we can do, and I hate that we are. And do you know what? Honestly, maybe with a more ambitious board, we wouldn't be where we are. Maybe we would push the boat out a little bit, but you know what our board's like. And it's just difficult for Celtic to attract, the people that you really want us to get. The people who, for example, that boy that's left, what was it, Ajax he signed for? Or the left back, I can't remember his name, Sosa. Croatian, is he? I think he went for about 8 million. I've seen people go, 8 million, we could have done that. And I'm like, yeah, we could have, but you throw in that 8 million, you then throw in a wage, and then you've obviously got to attract them as a club like Celtic in this modern day and age. It's difficult. So jig anytime you like, mate, anytime. So yeah, I just wish that we got a left back and a goalkeeper, because I think it would have took this window up. But generally, I'm pretty pleased. I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty pleased. But I'm going to get some of your opinions now. So tell me your rating out of 10 for the transfer window, and a short sentence on why you've given it that rating, and we can talk about that for the next 5-10 minutes or so before we move on. Thank you to Kevin for the £2 donation. I really do appreciate that. And he says, bring back Tom Rogic. I think Rogic is as done as Moy, to be honest. Thank you, by the way. Very generous from Ian McCrossan with the £10. Thank you. Legend. I appreciate that. God bless her. So yeah, this is people. I think that's been one of the bigger problems, is we've not reinvested that entire sum that Jota. Look, listen, it's no coincidence that when Peter Lawwell's back, we don't see some big money getting thrown around or anything. I don't want to just lambast on one guy, but yeah, I'm also looking at Twitter, and there has been absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing to suggest that anything else is going to happen tonight. Right, I want to get your ratings. So, Wizard of Mortal give it a 7.5. That's fair. Celtic Glasgow saying 7.5 out of 10. 9 if we get a left back. So, pretty much in line with me there on that one. Winning Sunday and it'll be a 10. Honestly, Craig, I know you're saying that just as a kind of off the cuff way. If we win on Sunday, I won't care. But genuinely, if we win on Sunday, people won't be talking about this transfer window in any sort of negative fashion. People will be over the moon. People will be delighted. People will be back in the cloud 9. That's how it works. It's not helped that our last couple of games we've been poor. Let's see. There's some people who are obviously not as happy, who I'm not going to just exclude from the stream. 2 out of 10 bargain bin signings as usual. Promised the world to shut us up, says Niall. 7 players need to get jail and get new players will play better when we have a full strength side. 8 says Declan. That's probably one of the highest that I've seen so far. Not seen 3 players of it play yet. 5 out of 10 from DM, 7 out of 10, 9 signings, 3 decent players out of 9, so can't complain. Thank you to Ranny's Rovers for the donation. He said 7 out of 10. Mark, who I've seen it all night in the chat, hello Mark, 3 out of 10 for Yang. Carl has given it a 6 out of 10, who says, would have been higher because I think we fumbled the bag with Livakovic. Yeah. I mean, if we got Livakovic, I'd be giving it a 10 out of 10. Kevin said, I don't think the window has been as bad as what's been made out due to performances under Rodgers so far, plus people missing Jota. But for me, a 7.5, and I would up it to an 8 with a left back or a goalkeeper. I've seen a lot of 8s now, actually. 8 from Paul McMahon, saying 2 points for no goalkeeper and left back, but overall we've been rather successful and could have made signings earlier. And there was another donation as well, a couple of donations actually I'll shout out before I end up missing them. Ethan, thank you for the £2 saying, happening Ryan, how confident he is for Sunday. We'll talk about that tomorrow and at the end of this stream, but I'm feeling decent, I must say, surprisingly, compared to last week. And Patrick, thank you for the £5, very generous as well, saying pretty happy with this window, but time will tell. Honestly, I'm most excited about Luis Palma. Agree with the 7 out of 10. When do you reckon he starts? You know, well, I've been asked the question a couple of times with donations tonight and just generally in the chat. Who do I think will start on Sunday? Will the new signing start? Will we see Bernardo? Will we see Phillips? Will we see Luis Palma? If I was to go out on a limb, I'm going to say Palma doesn't start on Sunday. But I think if he comes off of the bench and makes a good impression and shows what he's got, I think he could be starting very, very shortly after that. I think after the international break. I'm really excited for this game to be done and out the way, I must say. I think that once this game passes on Sunday, I hate international breaks and they're terrible. Like, I hate them with a passion for so many reasons. But I'm actually happy that we're getting this one because I think that the club need that 2 weeks to just kind of gel together and all the rest of it. But yeah, a lot of people, you know, it's a mixed window. You know, there is people who aren't happy, but there's a lot of people who are happy, like Shay here, who says 8.5. Sunday will prove it. We've spent money and injuries haven't helped. But remember, the likes of Marco Tilio will be like a new signing when he's back. And then Jake as well, who's very happy, who says 8 out of 10. Imagine we spent 10 to 15 million on a player and they flop. We don't have the money for that. For a big deal, we need to loan for a season. It's Celtic, not City. And honestly, as painful as it is to accept that, Jake, I couldn't put it better myself. And this is one point that I just want to finish up on this before we move on to the next segment of the stream. One point I do want to finish up on is, look at the treatment a player like, and this is, and people hate to admit this is the truth. The people who, you know, but it is, right? Look at the treatment Kwon got after 45 minutes at Celtic Park, and we signed him for £1 million. The pressure of playing for a club like Celtic is huge. It's gargantuan, and you need to impress the fans from the get-go. And if you don't impress them from the get-go, you've got to sort yourself out pretty fucking quick. Now, Kwon has came in for £1 million. Imagine the pressure that someone who cost the club 15 million would have out at Celtic Park. If they had a 45 minutes like Kwon did, my God, it would be shocking. I guess then you've got to weigh that up with the argument of, well, if you're paying 15 million adverse to 1 million, you're going to get a better player than Kwon. And yeah, that's absolutely true. But listen, we've seen big fees spent for flops in this country and every other country. God, Manchester United have spent 90 million on Paul Pogba, and look how that turned out. They've spent 50 million on Angel Di Maria, and look how that turned out. Money doesn't always guarantee you the quality, and I know that's a completely different kettle of fish to talk about, Manchester United in the Premier League. But I think that Jake's pretty much spot on. It's a pipe dream that anytime soon Celtic are going to spend 15 million. And I get the whole speculate to accumulate sort of thing, but 15 million is a huge loss to Celtic if it doesn't work out. We are feeling the effects of £4.5 million being lost in Albion Ajeti. Now imagine that happened with somebody that cost 50 million. And I'm not trying to happy clap for the board. Listen, it's me. God, I've spent the last fucking 5 or 6 years doing nothing but criticise the board on this channel. I'm not trying to happy clap, but what I am doing is looking at it through a realistic pair of eyes. We have hurt big time from Ajeti and Barkas. That is huge money for Celtic to lose. And the fans know that. So imagine all of a sudden it went tits up for, 15 million. That would be a disaster for Celtic, a very big one at that. Also, thank you to the donations from Ooga Booga. I love that name. Ooga Booga with a 5 saying, well done in 40k, Ryan. Pint on me. You should do another 12-hour stream. Listen, I might try and do another charity 12-hour stream at some point over the next 6 months or so. It's not in the works right now. Not right now. But yeah, listen, try and maybe do another one. And thank you for the pint. I'll drink it in honour of you. And Brody with a 499 saying, 7 out of 10. Homework's a player. 10 out of 10 because O'Reilly is staying. Biggest support of O'Reilly. Thank you for the donations, lads. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, so we're going to just kind of Q&A it for the last 20 minutes probably because, yeah, we've basically covered, wow, weird figure, 3.34. I love that. But thank you, I appreciate it, Gareth, nonetheless. Saying that Rangers signed Ramsey, massive loan fees and flopped. That's what I mean. Like, I think a lot of Celtic fans are waiting for a name like Aaron Ramsey to sign for us. Not saying him necessarily, but like, if we were in that position 2 years ago, we would have been buzzing. Like, if we were like, oh, we've just got Aaron Ramsey, oh my, fans would be buzzing. And look how it turned out. It's so difficult. Like, people really need to weigh it up and just kind of look at it. Can't believe they have slaughtered their boy, yeah? Well, say to be fair, his attitude was stinking, wasn't it, Cal? Still waiting on news surrounding him. So yeah, right, I'm going to do one last quick scouting of Twitter to see if there's any news or any rumours. I think there's absolutely nothing. I'm going to check the Daily Rangers, the record as well, and their live updates. Last thing that happened was at 9:10 and it was Rangers related. So yeah, I don't think that we're going to get anything tonight, ladies and gents. I think that we've basically got all we've got for this transfer window. Yeah, I mean, Aaron's asked a good question here. Let's just go into Q&A from now. And if anything happens, don't worry. You'll be the first to hear it live here on Ryan 118. We're going to stay live till 11. I'm not going to go the whole way to 12. I think McGinley's gone to 12 with his people over in the Celtic way. So if you want at 11, you can. No, now. You're staying with me for now. But at 11, you can go over there. But I'm not sitting here till 12 for nothing to happen. As you can tell, my voice and everything, I'm shattered. I'm absolutely knackered today. I'm not going to lie to you lads. But I know what an excuse. He sits behind a computer for a living. I'm going to come to Aaron's in a second. But thank you to Shift saying, just get FM back, lads. Don't worry. When the new FM comes out, I'm thinking about it. I've got to sort out what I'm doing with the second channel. Right, Q&A time. Let's just talk. Who was the last big name signing to work out? Who was it? Was it like... I'm going to go back to 2010 because there was a notable big signing that worked in 2010 or 2009 even. Or was it 2010? January 2010? Robbie Keane, right? Who from Robbie Keane that's a big name has worked out? Genuinely, I'm not being this sarcastically. I want to know. Chat, tell me. Because it wasn't Shane Duffy. Edward wasn't a big name. People saying Edward. Edward wasn't a big name. It was a big signing. We spent a lot of money on him. But why did we spend a lot of money on him? Why? Because we loaned him in and we knew he was worth it. Celtic ain't going to spend £9 million on a nobody. And Edouard was a nobody before he came to us on loan. So I'm not having Edouard. Bellamy was before. Joe Hart. Yeah, I could take Joe Hart, I suppose. $4.99 from Celtic Girl. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm seeing Moy a lot, right? And Moy was great for the year. It was great for the year. But it was old. There was no risk with Moy. I want a big risk. A big financial risk. A big name or something that worked out. And I can't really think of many. Sinclair, maybe take that. I'd maybe take that. But thank you to Gareth. Carlton Cole. Yeah, Carlton Cole. $2.50. Thank you, Gareth. Celtic Glasgow, $1.99. What happened to the Celtic FM channel keepers? Remember keepers? Back in the day, it was me and him. We were the first two to do it. Talk about Celtic. I don't know whatever happened to him. I genuinely don't. I have no idea whatever happened to keepers. I hope he's well. He was a good guy. We spoke quite a bit back in the day. But yeah, went disappeared. Yeah. I'm seeing a few people. I'm seeing like people throw in like Sinclair and Foster. Yeah, Sinclair, I'd give that one. Sinclair was probably a big name that worked. Yeah. No problem about it. He did. Sinclair did. Thanks, John. It's always the big issues. The pedestrianisation of Norwich. Yes. Can Jigs jizz on my specs? Of course he can. Thank you for the donation, Connor. Yeah. Listen, it's like, it's difficult. And like, people love to pluck names out of the sky that Celtic should go for. I'm like, it's just not going to happen. Like, it's just not going to. I feel like there's got to be a level head in these transfer windows. And like, do you know what? Form is so much to do with it. Like, if Celtic are playing well, nobody's got to complain about nothing. Genuinely. But we've not played well. So, it's, you know, if we were playing well, if we won our first 3 games 4-0, we'd all be delighted with this window so far. So, aye. Anyway, let's go turn that into Q&A. Let's fuck off the conversation about big signings. $4.99. Thank you, Kieran. Thank you for the generosity tonight, by the way, ladies and gents, because it's absolutely nuts. And thank you for the last 3. Thank you for the summer that has been. Can I say, before we move on to the Q&A, thank you. What a summer it's been. Summer's always nervy, because you go into summer and there's no football on. You know, there's nothing on to talk about. Well, there's a lot actually, transfers and all that. You know, there is a lot to talk about. But it's always a nervy one, because you go in, you're like, oh no, what if there's nothing to talk about? And then you worry about if you've got enough money for a pint of milk. You know, so like during the summer, this has been my most successful 3 months as a YouTuber. And I know that's because a lot's happened at Celtic, but it's because of you guys. So thank you for your generosity this evening. Thank you for your generosity, and even if you've not donated anything, if you just watch these videos, you're paying a wage to me. If you click on my videos and you watch them, that's me earning money. And I can't thank you enough for that. So thank you to Kieran. Larsson was dubbed a flop after costing Celtic on his debut. Wonder how that ended. Some fans need to grow up and be realistic. We are such a reactionary support, and we love to pretend that Rangers fans are fantastic at rewriting history and all that. We are just as bad. We are just as bad. And we can admit, you can admit that. I'm not saying we're as bad as them in general, but in terms of rewriting stuff, oh God, we love doing it. We do. And we're so reactionary. Like, we're so reactionary. And I wasn't alive when Larsson debuted for Celtic, but the people who were in this chat, you'll be able to agree with Kieran and that in his donation. But thank you for the donation. And Shay, opinion on the Dutch market, Ryan, for players. A lot of good players in Holland. A lot of good players in Scotland. It's Scotland, Holland. If the ones that are the creme de la creme, though, are once again are out of market. You know, you look at the guys who are like the creme de la creme in Holland. They're getting big moves to Bayern Munich's and Man United's, and look at Martinez and Anthony and players like, you know, Gravenberch, who got a big move not long ago, and De Jong and De Ligt and all these guys in the last 5-10 years. God, they're good at producing wanted talent, and a big part of that is how they can be successful in Europe. You know, Celtic haven't cracked that nut. And if we could crack that nut, who knows, we could maybe sell players for similar fees and stuff, but we're a world away from that. But thank you for the question, Shay. I also seen a good question from Murray, which is now gone, from DM McDonald. I can't find it. So yeah, let's see. Questions, Q&A. A massive thank you. What's this? A massive thank you to you, Ryan. You don't know how much you genuinely help a lot of us whenever we see your videos on YouTube after a long, hard day. Genuinely make people's lives better. A reason to smile. That is one of the nicest comments I've ever. I want to print that and put it like on my wall behind the camera so I remember why. That is so kind. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Makes me smile, that. That's made my night. That's really made my night. Let's see. That was it there. Well done in the 40k. What's the plans YouTube-wise for the rest of the year and throughout 2024? There is different stuff I want to try. What that is yet, I don't know. I've not had a minute to think this summer because there's been so much happening. So, aye. Right, let's see. Any questions about the transfer window? But thank you for the support as always, Murray. Right. Questions. Back Greg Taylor, please. He's proven himself as a left back. He's a solid option. He's just had a bad run of form. Save cash for January instead of wasting it on a position we don't need. Listen, I love Greggy. Great. And listen, I think that he is someone who is just in a bad run of form at the minute and he's struggling to get through it. But I feel like he will get through it. I still feel like, that being said, we do need a left back because the other one's bloody Bernard. But I do back Greg. I want him to do well. And listen, even if we did sign a left back, it doesn't. I never, for me anyway, I never said that. I never thought that we should just disregard Taylor. Like, I thought that he could always be there as an option anyway and come in when we need him to. But I love that. That's another one that's made my night. Always nice to sit in the garden here in Northern Ireland and smoke a joint and watch your stream. Love that. Thank you. I'm glad. Let's see. Yeah, see, this is the thing. This is the thing. Taylor, I like him and I do back him to maybe get through this rut and come through it stronger. But it is worrying when you look at the patterns, because the pattern is that he couldn't play as a traditional fullback under Lenny, and he can't play as a traditional fullback now under Rodgers. And that's the worrying pattern. I have faith that Rodgers can get it into him, but it's a question of how long is that going to take. That's the big question that surrounds it. So yeah. Oh, everybody's smoking joints tonight, aren't they? My God. It's at 4:20. That's something. Hope you're all enjoying, lads. RVD. Oh, thank you. £10. Just wanted to say thanks for making the best videos, mate. Always great listening to you, bro. Have a kebab on me. Love from it. You know, people always say, get yourself a pint on me. And I've never had to have a kebab on me. And I will. Trust me, I will. I might get one tomorrow. You're a legend, mate. Thank you. I do appreciate that. And I love yous all over in Ireland, obviously. Hope to get to Ireland soon. Still never been. I can't wait. I was meant to go to Dublin. To go and I've got a mate in Dublin, a mate from Dublin I went to Santa Ponza with last year, and I keep saying I'll come out to visit, and we booked flights to go, and in the morning of the flight we all decided we're not going. And then we were maybe going to go for the Wolves game, and I was away to Belgium for the F1, so I've still never been to Ireland. But hopefully that changes very soon. But thank you for the donation, I really appreciate it. Another donation, thank you. I'm available for left back on Sunday. Also start Patreon. Listen, if I have a reason to start Patreon, I will one day. But nice to see you're available for left back on Sunday. Thank you for the donation. Right. I was there, Brian. I was there. If you pause during the stadium stampede when they're at the stage, you might catch me, but I doubt it because it's very bloody. But I was there. Let's see. God, any questions? About the transfer window, because people are here for the transfer talk. By the way, I am refreshing Twitter like a madman, and I can virtually guarantee you that nothing's going to happen in this last hour. Like, nothing. We are not signing anybody else. And I knew that was going to be the case. We knew that when Rodgers said what he said today. And then, I seen a few people commenting later after I published my video going, oh, Rodgers has just said this on Sky. And it turns out it was recorded 2 hours before the press conference. So, yeah. We knew it from then. Starting OnlyFans. God, I don't want to lose my fans. Ranny's Rovers, thanks. But thank you for the donation. Thoughts on KT Sociedad? I've seen that a lot tonight. Listen, I think it'll be a good move for him. I look forward to seeing what he'll do in Spain. I still can't believe the position he's in at Arsenal. Duke from Aberdeen to Celtic, then him to win as the Champions League. God, I'm just not big on the whole Duke stuff. I think he's a good player, but I don't know. Yeah, it's just not. I don't know. Give it another season, and maybe after another season. Did he? I didn't get to watch it. I was actually at the gym during the Aberdeen game last night, so I didn't get to watch it. Back to the Kasper Schmeichel stuff on a free would have been worth a go. I'm still very mixed on it. I wouldn't complain. That's the way that I would just sum my opinion up. I wouldn't complain, but I wouldn't sit there actively going, get it done. You know, I wouldn't be fucking shouting about it. Let's see. What else? Has Greenwood got his move? Is he? No way, has he? I seen that he was getting offered to Lazio. Is it actually Oh my, it is. Mason Greenwood, here we go to Getafe 1 minute ago. Italian transfer window is closed. Mason Greenwood to Lazio off. Deal collapsed in the closing minutes, and Mason Greenwood will go to Getafe. I hope he gets plugged or something. I hope he gets snapped. Do you know what? Carl Starfelt, do us a favour, big man. When you're playing Getafe this season, you know what to do. You know what to do. We'll go live for about 5 more minutes. And then I'm going to wrap it up. So if you want any questions desperately... Oh, hello. 750. Ryan, your talk of big signings has got me flashing back to the FIFA career mode days. Rashford on loan, Allen in from Stoke and Goretzka from Schalke. What a team, by the way. I think they had like Iheanacho as well, didn't we, at a point? And Sviatchenko was always in the team. Who else did we have? God. That's when you know it's a proper subscriber. A proper day one-er there. What a team. Imagine that. Wished I capitalised on Rashford when he first broke out. 750 though. Thank you very much. Very fucking generous of you. I do appreciate that. Aye. Let's see. Predicted 11 versus Rangers. Everybody asking that. It'll be on the channel tomorrow. I'm not going to give away my content yet. And plus I want to actually sit down and think about it. I know, listen, I was a scout before scouts were cool. And yeah, aye. That was it. What are our scouts doing? Last minute bargain buys again. Thought we were past all that nonsense. I agree, Mark. I think that the scouts have maybe disappointed in regards to... I don't know. I can see where you're coming from. But what I will say in regards to that, Mark, is these last minute bargain buys, right? Nat Phillips would never have happened without the injuries, and we needed that to be a last minute bargain buy. That had to happen. Now, when it comes to Paulo Bernardo, we call it a last minute bargain buy right now, but we might spend 7 million quid on him next year. So, I get it. I understand the frustration. But I guess it's just about waiting to see what these last minute bargain buys do before jumping in two-footed. I think that's the one thing that I wish that I could just preach mostly is just have the optimism, you know? Because Rio Hatate right now is arguably the best player in Scotland, and we signed him for £1 million. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what Moussa Dembele, we signed on a free contract. A 500 grand developmental fee or whatever it was. Look what happened with him. Listen, these things you never know how a player's going to turn out, and I don't think that transfer fees necessarily mean a thing. So just have some optimism. Anybody who is disappointed. I remember, that was right. Had him in goals. You made some pronunciation of his name. Was it Scuffet I used to call him? I don't know. I can't remember. But my God, thank you as well for the donation, Aaron. Really much appreciated. Right, here we go. Good question from Kane. If Ange signed these players, do I think there would have been as much noise about transfers? Nope. But to play devil's advocate for a moment, I think it hasn't been helped by the manner that Brendan Rodgers came into the club. Because when Brendan came in, we heard so much noise, and even from them themselves at the press conference, they were like, we want to chat, we want to go forward in Europe, and yada yada. Like they did, you know, they did kind of get our expectations up a little bit, but I do agree. I think that if Ange made these signings, I think everybody would be like, oh, he's cooking, you know what I mean? But then again, like, you've got to realise as well, one thing that people always forget in the modern game, in football now, we say Ange's signings and Rodgers signings. In football, it's less and less manager signings anymore. It's more recruitment teams that do all that. And yeah, of course, the manager gets a say, and they will get their kind of yes and no's, and they'll put maybe names forward as well. They have their signings. But people forget that, you know, Ange and Brendan aren't fully responsible for the signings anymore. It's not the olden days where a manager phones up a team and goes, you know, you see the videos of Neil Warnock sitting in Sheffield United, like, and he's like, all right, there's Steve, you got on loan. I want to take someone last game of season. I need someone in centre back. You know, it's not like that anymore. It's really at the highest level anyway. It's not like that. So, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into it that goes beyond Brendan Rodgers and goes beyond Ange. And people forget that. But they obviously have a massive say in what happens. I'm not saying they don't have anything, but yeah. Yeah, right. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up there for tonight. I'll do a quick summary. Paulo Bernardo's in. Another donation. Thank you. Can I shout out your pal Pat? Of course I can, Max. Shout out to you, Pat. Hope you're having a good night. Thank you for the the donation. Celtic aren't going to do anything in the last hour. And if they do, listen, I promise you right now, if we do, I'll jump back on live. If we sign somebody, I'll fucking jump on. People are saying we still have an hour. I am not sitting here for an hour for nothing to happen. I know we could chat for an hour. We could. But I'm bloody knackered. So, and I've been like, an hour talking to yourself is pretty rough. You can hear my voice actually going. So yeah, listen. If something happens in the next hour, we'll come back on the air. But I really doubt anything is going to happen. I really do. But that's it for the transfer window this summer. It's been fun reporting every day, and I'm looking forward to doing it all again in January for Celtic Transfer Talk. But listen, I'm not going anywhere for this season. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with a derby preview. Sunday we'll have the derby reaction. It will then be a tough couple of weeks, but I'll be here for you if you're there for me, and I'm sure we'll get through it okay. So, thank you. God bless. Good night. Fuck Mason Greenwood. And I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. But I'll be back here tomorrow. So cheerio. God